I was at a bustling party, waiting for the one who would decide whether I'd won my cousin's bet or not. Forget your dumb ex. $50 if you get the number of the next guy walking through that door. Oh, here comes my target. I hurriedly approached him, but stumbled and we're kissing. I could feel the taste of grapes on his lips. I immediately pushed him away and stood up. Phone number, please. The guy looked confused, but still handed me a note. All done. Time to flee the scene. Hi, I'm Agatha, a super introvert who hiccups when nervous. And lucky enough, my kooky cousin dragged me to this crazy party. I ran home to see Mum looking all excited. Oh, my sweet child, you're back already. It's just not my thing, Mom. But cooking is. I have some amazing news. The local soccer club is looking for a chef, so I recommended you. And guess what? They said you can start ASAP. Yes, I've dreamt of becoming a chef since I was little, and now that dream will soon come true. Yahoo! Today's the day. I eagerly arrived at the soccer club, but my jaw almost hit the floor when I saw Mateo, my ex. What was he doing here? Flustered, I looked away and saw that guy from the party. What on earth? My life's officially over. After the introduction, I immediately ran to the pitch for some fresh air, but then a hand patted my shoulder. It's him again. No calls or texts? You asked for my number. Are you that shy? I'm Killian, by the way. It was just a joke. Please leave. But then he stepped even closer. Panicked, I pushed him away. Almost made him fall backward. I tried to catch him, but not again. This time he smells like chocolate. Oh, you like my lips this much? Why not just say so? Holy moly! I ran straight away without looking back. I better stay 10 miles away from him. Suddenly I saw Mateo passing by. Has he seen anything? But why bother? As if he cared. He dumped me. Okay, Agatha, you're here to work, so focus. But with these jocks around, it's not that easy. They always jump-scared me when I was doing my job and made fun of me when I got lost in the changing room. And Killian was always there in time to save me. Everyone, stop. Close your eyes. Then he threw a super stinky, sweaty towel at my face. Ew. Plus, that jerk is the pickiest eater on this planet. He's constantly complaining about my food and demanded I cook him something else. There you go. I'm cutting on starch to build muscles. I'll get rid of the pasta. Oops, I forgot. I'm lactose intolerant. Okay, no cheese. Poor little chicken. I can't eat that. So, are you allergic to the plate too? Meanwhile, other team members were way easier, especially Mateo. We used to date, so I knew his taste pretty well. I gave you some extra pork, your favorite. I don't like pork. I hate pigs. Just then, Killian jumped in. You should focus on me instead. We can discuss my meals privately. Before I could say anything, he already handed me a note. Me and him alone? That's weird. But learning his eating habit would help my job, right? Nope. Big mistake. Killian had an endlessly absurd list of diet restrictions. No more than 2.5 grams of salt a day, mayonnaise on everything, no mushrooms, and spaghetti without tomato sauce. Did he just descend onto Earth? And during the meal, this dude kept smiling and staring at me. You like me or something? You have a veggie on your teeth! Dude! Oh gosh! I immediately ran to the restroom, but Killian caught up with me, holding a ball of wool. Is this yours? I looked down to see a wool thread coming out of my dress's hemline. Oh gosh, I wish the ground just swallowed me whole right now. Surprisingly, Killian put his jacket on me. That was cool. Just then he caught me drooling over him, so I immediately pretended to play with my phone. Just want to beat level 9,674 in Candy Crush. Strangely, over the next few days, Mateo started being nice to me. Too nice. Your cooking is top-notch as always. Tomorrow, can you make me those delicious vegetable fritters we used to have together? He still remembered that? Boy, he made my heart race. I sprinted to the kitchen and put on music to calm down. Soon I found myself singing and dancing to my jam. I promise that you'll never find another like me. Hee hee! Ooh, 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 ooh! Mamma mia! How long had he been there? Flustered, I burnt myself. Killian rushed over and held my hand. You okay? You can't even handle yourself? Then he insisted on finishing my work and even prepared us a dish. His broad back. Isn't he quite a charmer when he cooks? We talked a lot, and turns out we share a ton of things in common. Beneath his teasing, he's actually gentle, caring, and a good listener. I suddenly realized that I had stopped hiccuping since ages. One afternoon, while giving out water, I saw Killian. Oh wow, it's like the sunshine drew a halo around him and his exquisite face. Wait a minute, why was I smiling? Suddenly, a fancy-looking girl came over. Killian, why didn't you reply to my messages? You left me hanging all night. Look, I have dark circles now. That's on you. I went to leave, but out of nowhere, Mateo pulled me into a corner.
Why were you so close to him? He's only messing with me.
Huh? What do you mean?
He competes with me in everything. I was cold to you to protect you. Now that he knows you're important to me, he'll harm you to hurt me.
I think he's just trying to be nice.
His dad is our club's biggest sponsor. You really think he wants to hang out with people like us while Sloan, whose family owns the largest hospital in the state, is here?
I don't know what to believe anymore. However, I had to admit they looked like a perfect couple. While holding a coffee tray one time, I clumsily bumped into Sloan. Are you blind? Why do they let a doofus work here?
Come on, Sloan, you bumped into her.
He sure seemed sweet to me. Maybe Mateo had misunderstood him. Then once, I spotted the two of them in a quarrel where Killian even pushed Mateo. I tried to intervene, but they brushed me off. What was going on between them? A few days later, I returned from the grocery store to see the head coach in a fit of rage.
Explain to me how Mateo is hospitalized for eating your food.
What? Why?
Stop it! You're fired!
My head spun in a million circles. I hadn't done anything wrong. I was packing my things when Sloan appeared. Well. Looks like Little Miss Muffet met her match. Only need some simple tricks to get rid of you and your phony, needy act. Stop dreaming about Killian. You're not at our level. Wait, our? Who's with you? But Sloan just smirked and strutted away. That's when the memory of Killian and Mateo fighting struck my mind. So, Killian must have conspired with Sloan to harm Mateo and ruin my career in the process? How could he? Still, he had the cheek to text me as if nothing had happened. Dummy, Agatha. You should have listened to Mateo from the start and stayed away from Killian. I visited Mateo in the hospital, but he coldly shooed me away. It was exactly like the day he dumped me. Today is the city's championship final, and to be honest, I didn't really know why I was here. I looked around for Mateo, but couldn't find him. He might still be sick, so we had to skip this match. On the field, Killian seemed distracted and off his game. What's wrong with him today?
Killian, my dear.
The lady sitting next to me looked nervous and kept fidgeting. I spoke to her and figured out she was Killian's mom. She told me the shocking news. His little sister was missing. He was blackmailed into making their team lose or he'd never see his sister again. Killian faced the goal, but he didn't kick. Instead, he passed to another player who then scored the goal. The spectators cheered in triumph, while other players celebrated the goal with Killian. Blood seemed to have drained from his face. As predicted, the threats kept coming. I couldn't just sit and pray, so I asked Killian's mom for more clues. She played me the recording of her daughter. I strained my ears to listen and heard a noise. Peekaboo, peekaboo. I know that sound. It's Mateo's parrot. Ma'am, I know who's behind this. It's Mateo. What? I can excuse fake food poisoning, but how dare he harm my Killian? Say it again, Sloan. He asked me to fake the medical paper, and I figured it would also kick you out, so I agreed. But what about Killian's sister? That was nothing to do with me, I swear. We rushed to Mateo's house. It took him forever to open the door. Mateo, are you okay now? I have thought a lot about us, and realized how important you are to me, and I don't want to lose you again. Mateo, could you?
Oh, please, look at yourself. I just dated you for fun. You truly think I like you? And no more pork for me, please.
Do you seriously think I'd want you back after the despicable things you did to me and Killian?
Killian? Props to that freak for coming at me for telling the truth. So pathetic of him to go for my leftovers. It's you, dummy.
Then he blurted out how he cooked up this entire scheme to ruin Killian's career out of the jealousy which was triggered when he visited him in the hospital and told him not to worry about missing the match as they've had a new strategy to cover his absence and the team would perform well anyway.
I'm not a pawn that can easily be kicked out. You wish.
You are Pathetic. Right then, Sloane appeared with the little girl. Let's go. There's no time.
Where are you going, Agatha? Admit it. You're still smitten with me.
Sorry, the old Agatha can't come to the phone right now.
Why?
Oh, 'cause she's dead. After that, we rushed to the stadium. There, I shouted out Killian's name and raised his sister's hands. He seemed surprised to see us, then nodded and smiled. Afterwards, he played like a pro and led his team to victory. He was even awarded Player of the Match.
It's an honor to receive this title, and I want to shout out to someone important. Without her, this wouldn't have happened. Agatha, thank you so much.
Countless cameras turned to me. Then he rushed over to drag me to a corner where I told him everything.
I know Mateo's a jerk, but I didn't expect him to be that bad. But no worries. Let's see how he likes being permanently banned from the soccer club. Agatha, I want to tell you that I found something just as important as soccer. You.
He then grabbed my face and pressed his lips against mine. Finally, we had a legit kiss, and it was magical.
It was the middle of the night, when flickering lights and clattering sounds awoke me from the most wonderful dream. Through bleary eyes, I saw my frantic parents peering over me.
Sweetie, you have to leave England right now. We've received a death threat.
Death threat? What happened?
Hurry up and pack your things. We don't have much time.
But where am I going? And what about you guys?
To the US. For now, Elise, you go by the name Chloe Stewarts. Remember, if anyone asks, you don't have anything to do with this family.
At least arrange a comfy place for her, will you? Sweetie, I know this is hard, but we'll get you back as soon as this is sorted out, okay? Seeing Mum and Dad this worried, I tried to keep calm. I told them I'd be fine, and quickly left for the flight. I felt so unsettled about all of this. What would America hold for me? So here I am at Phillips Academy, and I'll be staying in that room. Hopefully, I'll be safe here for the time being. I couldn't stop thinking about what Mum and Dad had said. Who'd want to harm us? Dad owns one of the largest real estate firms in the UK, but he's a fair man who, as far as I'm aware, didn't have any enemies. This is all so crazy. I needed some fresh air. But there was a white shadow dangling outside that reads, Get out! Suddenly, a strong wind blew, making me step back and trip over a skull! Why is this here? Then the whole room echoed with this horror movie-like sound. My head was spinning when I spotted something. Ha! These tricks can't scare Elise the Fearless. I was about to destroy this thing when...
Hey, stop! Who are you?
Who are you? This is my bedroom. What are you doing in here?
This room is not just for anyone. Who are your parents?
I was still trying to steer away from his suspecting gaze when someone knocked on the door. It was a girl named Rita, sent by the school to help me out. She went on and on about the school regulations and boarding rules, but all I could think about was that boy.
Any questions?
Oh, not quite. I mean, the security here might be a little questionable. Aren't there any safety measures for the balconies? Actually, this is the only room here with a balcony, and it's quite eerie at times. Be careful. Anyway, here's your schedule for this term. Welcome to Phillips. Eerie. It was definitely a little weird. Is it because of that boy? Is he trying to scare people out of this room? According to the schedule Rita gave me, I have my first football practice today. But why are they all dressed funny? Everyone looked at me as if I was an alien and laughed their butts off.
Here we call that soccer and this football. Ever played it before?
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm in the States now and they have different names for loads of stuff. How embarrassing.
Don't sweat it. It's actually kind of cute of you. So, what's your full name? We may know your family.
Chloe Stewarts, from England. Everyone then shrugged cluelessly. What a relief. I'm just a nobody to everyone now. However, Rita wouldn't let me blend in. She insisted my clothes were too sloppy for a Phillips student and dragged me to the mall. I like her, but sometimes she's so enthusiastic. If not a little too much.
Elise? Elise Stone? What are you doing here? Has your family moved to America?
Oh no! It's the worst timing to bump into some family friend. I frantically looked around to see if anyone heard her, but...
Elise Stone, huh?
It's impossible to escape her questioning. So I told her everything and asked her to keep it a secret.
Don't worry, I'm not going to tell a single soul. I've got your back, Chloe.
Suddenly, the whole mall was flocking to the entrance.
Our Golden Boys, the top player of the varsity football team.
Golden Boys? Is this some sort of K-drama or something? Oh, that's the guy from my balcony. On the way back to my room, I kept wondering what that golden boy was doing on my balcony. When I found myself in a haunted house. What's that? Oh, this buddy was from today's biology class. As I carried the skeleton to the corner, I got caught in some toy spiders. Jeez. Suddenly, there was a streak of light from the balcony. Oh right, I forgot to close the door today. So this annoying intruder sneaked in. Again.
Hey, soccer girl. Impressed.
Why are you trying to scare me out? What do you want?
Well, I'm right next door and this balcony's always been mine. But since you moved in, I've lost the spot to chill.
That's it? I mean, I'm staying here for just the time being and I don't really need a balcony. Plus, the less trouble, the better. If you want it that bad, then you can have it. But only the balcony. Please don't ever come into my room without my permission again.
Sure thing. But since it's mine now, you can't just walk into my space either.
Deal. That's settled then. This door is now officially the border between us. The next morning, I was carrying the skeleton back to the equipment room. Someone bumped into me and accidentally sent the box flying. Oh no, what a mess.
Watch where you're going, you and your stupid thing.
You were the one running around. Maybe slow down when you're in the hallway wouldn't be a bad idea.
Are you talking back to me? You...
Hey guys, chill. Right then, the girl pushed Rita to the side, but someone caught her just in time.
Grace, why are you picking on the new girl? And you too, Aaron. Come on, man.
I don't care. She better apologize to my boyfriend.
Drop it, Grace. Are you okay? I know moving to a new country can be hard, so if you need anything, let me know.
I was still flustered by his overly friendliness when Rita dragged me away. You know Jeffrey? No, I literally just met him. Oh, sorry. Jeffrey is actually my boyfriend, but we've not gone public yet. Oh, that explains things. I told Rita to rest assured, as I'm not interested in him. I also found out that he's the head boy. No wonder why he knew everything about everyone, including a newbie like me. But as long as I go by Chloe Stewart's, it shouldn't matter, right? But apparently what matters to Grace, the mean girl, is another story. After that incident, she wouldn't stop playing dirty tricks on me. Oopsie, I'm such a klutz sometimes. Another time, I noticed other students giggling at me in the hallway. I didn't know what was going on until Rita took off a piece of paper and stuck it to my back. This was such a Grace thing to do. Ugh, can she stop acting like a 9-year-old? But nope. As I was going to class, she threw a snake at me, startling me so much I almost fell over. But thankfully, a hand came just in time to catch me. Jaden!
Everyone listen up. Chloe is my girl. From now on, if anything happens to her, I'll be on you, Grace.
My girl? Since when? Couldn't wrap my head around it, so I decided to ask him that night. Earlier today. Why'd you say that?
Think of it as a thank you for letting me have the balcony. It actually means a lot to me right now.
Well, okay then, but I wonder what's so important to him out there. Never mind, we had a deal. I'd better just mind my own business. But who would have thought Jaden's statement would bring me so much trouble? I suddenly became the center of attention, especially with those golden boys surrounding me 24/7. I was gonna excuse myself when I heard the girls going primal over Jaden.
Of course someone with a goldfish brain like you would forget to eat.
Excuse me? I was just trying to finish this book before lunch. Who asked him to bring me food anyway? Great, now these girls had another reason not to like me. The golden boys started to act strangely, and Grace as well. This mean girl now watched over me like a hawk, while her boyfriend Aaron also acted up. Not to mention, Jeffrey always tried to be close to me, which put me in such a dilemma as I didn't want Rita to get the wrong idea about us. Then there was Jaden, who wouldn't quit acting like my bodyguard. I was enjoying myself at school festival when he suddenly appeared and dragged me out of there. This is getting too much. I'm not scared of some childish tricks from Grace, and I can take care of myself.
This isn't about Grace. A couple of times I've noticed someone watching you from a distance, and even following you around. I don't think it's safe for you to be in a crowd like that.
Was I being stalked this whole time? Is it the same person who gave my family the threat? Did they find out I'm here? Who knows what could have happened if Jaden wasn't looking out for me all this time? That night, as if to confirm Jaden's worry, Dad called me saying they'd received another threat, pinpointing my exact location. Dad sounded extremely anxious and kept telling me to be careful. As I was trembling with fear, somebody suddenly banged on my door. Freak out, I broke the deal with Jaden and ran straight onto the balcony.
You okay? What's going on?
Someone's knocking on the door.
There's no one there. Are you really that scared?
I suddenly realized what I was doing. Oh gosh, this is so embarrassing. But is he blushing too? I quickly looked to the side, surprised to see all the gear. What's all this? Are you trying to make bombs or something?
No, actually. This is to attract the fireflies.
Fireflies?
Yeah, they've always fascinated me. I needed your balcony for my project. See that right there? It's their playground. Plus, it's really airy out here.
Then he leaned over to switch some knobs on the machine, and suddenly there was a swarm of fireflies lighting up the whole place, creating a beautiful fairy tale-like scenery. His secret about my balcony had finally come to light. Literally.
I don't know what your secret is, but you need to stop being afraid. I'll find out who's behind this.
His determination touched my heart, but I still can't help worrying about the mysterious door knocks. Who could it be? Since then, I stuck by Jaden. We were like SpongeBob and Patrick everywhere we went. Despite all the death stares I got from the girls, I finally understood why they were going crazy over him. He might seem a little kooky at first, but he's actually so caring and unique. Before the end of the term, the school organized this camping trip for us. I tried to make sure Jaden was always in sight for my own safety. It wasn't an easy hike, as more and more people dropped out, except for Jaden, who didn't seem at all exhausted. Is he made of steel or something? I tried to keep up with him and occasionally stopped to catch my breath. But where'd he go? Panicked, I looked around for him, but all I saw were mountains and cold winds blowing at me. Suddenly, I felt a heavy stare on me, but no one was there. I quickly ran and called for Jaden, but someone grabbed me from behind. It was Jeffrey. Without a word, he just dragged me away. Well, what are you doing? Where are you taking me?
Sorry, but I gotta do this. I've been waiting so long for this moment. You should ask why fate landed you right in the hand of your enemy.
Enemy? What do you mean? Are you the one behind the threat?
My parents were, yeah. But now I'm in it too. Blame your dad and his stupid resident project that took away our land. The land that was supposed to be my family's mining area. And now we're going bankrupt, all thanks to you. And you know what? The news reached Rita's dad, and he's forcing us to break up.
But this is our parents' business, and I have nothing to do with it. Why are you taking it out on me?
Well, maybe if their precious daughter is in danger, they'll do something about it.
In danger? What is he gonna do? Right at that moment, someone appeared and freed me from Jeffrey's grip.
Sorry for leaving you alone, but I needed to know who was behind this. You stay out of this. This is none of your business. You need to calm down. Don't get yourself in trouble because of your parents' mistakes. Jeff, you've worked so hard to become head boy. Are you just gonna throw everything away?
Jaden's words seemed to touch him, as we saw Jeffrey fall to his knees.
I'll talk to my dad. I'm sure he could help you guys out with the business. Our families have always been close, and we've got you, Jeff.
Seeing Jeffrey break down, I felt bad for him. What he did was awful, but his parents never should have put him in this unfair position. That evening, Jeffrey seemed deep in thought when he suddenly dragged Rita out for a private talk, leaving everyone confused. Grace and Aaron then also left. I took a deep breath and filled my lungs with fresh air, when suddenly all the fireflies appeared in the sky, followed by Jaden.
I know this is your call, but if you're willing to stay here instead of going back to England, I promise to take care of you.
I looked at Jaden, beaming against the beautiful skyline, and I couldn't help but feel my heart beat a little faster. He was so sweet and caring, but why was he doing this? Did he have feelings for me too? Right then, Rita and Jeffrey came back. Jeffrey apologized for scaring me, while Rita also said sorry for not keeping my identity a secret. What's done is done. Let's just enjoy this gorgeous sight in front of us. The next day, as we returned from our camping trip, we all arrived at the hall for a school notice. But when I arrived, it was just my homeroom teacher and classmates there.
We just heard from the principal you're going back to England, so we organized a small party for you. I hope you had a good time at Phillips.
Everyone also wished me luck on my journey, but Jaden didn't even bother to say goodbye. Suddenly, all the lights went out, followed by the candles, and Jaden.
I respect your decision to leave, but I just want to let you know, I really like you, and no matter where you go, I'll be thinking about you.
Actually, Jaden, I'm staying here. I already told my dad, but...
That's all I want to hear, Elise Stone.
Ugh, who's calling at this hour? Orla, your sister is having a wedding this weekend. Make arrangements to attend. My sister Rowan is having a what now? She had never had a date, and she's only 19. Are you still listening, Orla? Surely you have a boyfriend by now, so bring him along. Boyfriend? Yeah, right. As if I haven't been absolutely caught up with school lately. No matter what I did, In Mom's eyes, I was always the idle one who partied around with boys, while Rowan was obedient and hard-working. Ugh! You see, my parents divorced ages ago, so I live with my father in Atlanta, and my mom and sister Rowan live in the suburbs of Denver with my grandma. It's been a long time since I've met her, so I wouldn't mind paying a visit on this occasion. Only, where am I meant to find a guy at this short notice? My dear hometown, it's been a hot minute. Oh, there's Paul.
Sorry I kept you waiting. Let's go, gorgeous.
Let me introduce my boyfriend, a local college boy that I found on the internet. Even though we're on business terms, look at him. Handsome, gallant, and polite. I hit the jackpot. As we pulled up at the house, I saw my grandma waiting outside with a casual-looking guy. Oh, he must be my future brother-in-law. I happily ran over to hug Grandma. Rowan, you're back. Mata has been waiting for you. My, look at our match made in heaven. Is she confusing me with Rowan? I was about to correct her when suddenly the guy pulled me close and said,
We are indeed a charming couple, aren't we, honey?
Excuse me? Where is he putting his hand on? And is his eyesight just as bad as Grandma's to think I was Rowan? Just then, Rowan stepped forward, but strangely, she just smiled at us, then linked arms with Paul. And this is my boyfriend, Grandma. Do you think we look great together? What's wrong with everyone? Had I been zapped into some parallel universe or something? Suddenly, Rowan dragged me across the garden. Then she told me how Grandma had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, which had progressed so quickly recently, meaning sometimes she forgets. Other times she remembers, muddling everyone and everything. Not wanting to upset or confuse her, my mom and sister decided to act according to Grandma's memories, including this wedding. And of course, that Mata guy is not my sister's real fiancé, just a close classmate. But now she's confusing the two of us, so the lead role in this wedding play is yours now. Grandma's memory was deteriorating. Yeah, that sucks. But was a fake wedding necessary? Also, the thought of pairing up with that rude Mata guy sickened me. No way!
Listen to your sister, kid. Everyone is doing it for Grandma.
Did he just call me kid? Okay, that's it. This guy needs to know his place. But before I could jump at him, both my parents appeared and started lecturing me. Ugh, whatever. I stood my ground. Faking a marriage is ridiculous.
Happy now? Dad's little girl is acting spoiled again. Please, I raised her just fine. And you, if you'd taken care of your mother better, she wouldn't have been this way.
Not again. They only see each other once every couple of years, but the bickering always followed almost instantly. What's going on? You two have never been at odds. What's wrong? At the sight of Grandma, Mom and Dad suddenly took a 180. A moment ago, they were screaming each other's heads off, but now they're being all smiley, lovey-dovey. How ridiculous. But did Grandma really not remember that my parents were divorced? Her condition seemed to be as bad as they said. This meant I had no choice but to go along with their plan to make her happy. However, I was no professional actor. Constantly improvising according to Grandma's memories was not easy, especially when I was stuck with the annoying Mata for a scene partner. My mind was too full of thoughts to sleep properly, so I got up extra early and went for a stroll in the garden. Out of nowhere, Mata ran to me and grabbed my hand.
Did you sleep well last night, Bae?
Huh? Who's he acting for? In this empty garden? Or is this just an excuse to touch me? I forced my hand away from his, but then he had the audacity to whisper in my ear.
Shush, Grandma's watching us from upstairs.
Ugh, what a creep. Meanwhile, Rowan said she wanted to please Grandma, but actually, she wasn't even a little bit cooperative. At lunch, while I had to squeeze out a smile as Mata spoon-fed me soup, Rowan was being distant toward Paul, her boyfriend. Paul, my sister, also likes being fed. Right, that's her favorite dish. Paul got the point right away, so he scooped up some soup and gave it to Rowan as Grandma watched expectantly. But for some reason, my sister seemed irritated, shoved his hand away, and said she's allergic to it, which was some total nonsense. Grandma was obviously discontent hearing that, then stood up to leave the table first. What's the matter with you, Rowan? You didn't have to look so annoyed in front of Grandma. Why can't you just work with Paul? That's how Rowan's always been. She's shy and couldn't open up easily to strange guys as you can. What did she mean by that? Before I could reply, Dad came to my defense.
How can you say that? Isn't Orla trying her best to play her part and not make Grandma suspect a thing?
Oh, so you two are doing great, and we're just ruining everything? There they go again. Usually Rowan and I would just stand there and watch, because only our grandma can stop their fights. And this time was no exception. As soon as they saw Grandma, my parents immediately turned around and held each other's hands. Maida was just as quick when he grabbed my arm as well as Grandma's, and then invited us for a walk. Hey, who are you? Why are you being so friendly to us? Oh dear, it was only a few seconds ago and her memory of him had already vanished. I immediately said Maida and I went to the same college and he was visiting me. I thought that was it, but no. Speaking of college, she immediately asked why we were home when we should be at school. The whole family froze at her reaction. My parents carefully mentioned the wedding to see if she remembered anything, but she snapped. How can you talk about marriage when my 2 grandchildren are still of school age? Have you two lost your mind? So, the next morning, I had to go to the university with Rowan. But the cherry on top was riding this tiny pink bicycle together per Grandma's order. This was embarrassing, but how can we refuse? She only recalled the old memories. So I wandered around here all day waiting for Maida and Rowan to finish their classes. Suddenly, I spotted Paul with some girls. Hey, what are you doing here?
Oh, Orla. I'm just giving directions to these freshmen. Actually, I'm waiting to pick up your sister.
Wow, Paul seems to have a real crush on Rowan. I have to help my timid as a hare sister seize the opportunity. I took Paul to the lecture hall just as class was wrapping up, then pushed Rowan towards him, wished them a happy outing, and quickly pulled Maida away to give the couple some space. Finally, I could go home. But just as we reached the college gate, we saw Dad helping Grandma come this way. Seeing my face turn pale, Dad immediately explained that Grandma thought today was my first day of college, so she insisted on coming to pick us up. Jeez, it was bad enough coming here on a tiny pink bike. I drew the line at my dad and Grandma picking me up. I wasn't a preschooler. I was assigned to tidy the football field. It's my turn on duty today. Don't wait for me. Oh, is that so? Take your time. I'll look around for a while. I looked at Maida, hoping he had some idea to get me out of this, but he just grinned and took the broom from me.
Come on, let's clean up this place.
I was only gonna fake cleaning a bit, but turns out Grandma's the most meticulous supervisor ever. Orla, there's some trash over there. Look closely, honey, there are dry leaves in the corner. Then, you have to wipe these stains with a wet cloth. As soon as she went away, I lay on the field, panting with exhaustion. Aren't you tired? Oh man, I'm already drained out. Can't imagine how bad it's gonna get for me at Grandma's age. Poor her. It's scary how one day we might forget our family.
Birth, aging, sickness, death, these are things we can't change. Orla, but one thing we could do is cherishing every moment with our loved ones as these times are special.
I was so wrong when initially I considered Maida as an impolite, annoying person. His deep thoughts made me feel comfortable enough to pour my heart out about my family. Why my parents divorced, why I didn't visit Grandma as much as I should have, and all the fights with my sister Rowan. We talked loads, and it felt like we've known each other forever. That night I kept tossing and turning, and couldn't stop thinking about how Maida diligently helped me clean up, about our conversation in the afternoon, and the way he helped me stand up. Oh, what's wrong with me? It's undeniable that this side of him is so attractive. But there's one problem. When we were leaving, he said to me,
"See you tomorrow, Rowan."
Yes, Rowan. How could he? Was it because all these acts in front of my grandma got him mixed up? Or is it because she's always on his mind? Never mind. It's none of my business. The next day I was sick of strolling around the campus, so I went to class with Rowan and Maida. Rowan's right. They seemed really close. During the lesson, both of them listened attentively to the lecturer, then turned to discuss with each other. Maida also patiently explained the part Rowan didn't understand to her. Hey, what are we gonna have for lunch? What's good in the canteen?
You will take this course next year too, so focus.
And then they got back to their discussion, as if I was invisible. Ugh, how frustrating. Hey, are you jealous? Don't be, we're just friends. Why did she say that? Jealous? That's absurd. Still sulking? How about we go to the cinema tonight? I'll help you too. And here we are. As planned, I would sit next to Maida while Rowan would be with Paul. Sounds good. But when Rowan was about to settle next to Paul, Maida immediately took that seat. So he didn't want to sit next to me, or he didn't want Rowan to be with Paul? Either way, he obviously didn't have feelings for me. As soon as the movie ended, I rushed out of there, just to catch some familiar sight of Grandma and Dad again. She started nagging and insisted on escorting me home. Why are you still out here at this hour, Rowan? There was a lot to prepare for the wedding. Now the wedding's back on? Oh dear, you two. A groom-to-be shouldn't be playing around like this. Paul? Why don't you pair me with Maida like before, Grandma? After all, we were back to our former partners. I'm with Paul and Maida with Rowan. Well, it's just a fake wedding, so it doesn't matter who I was marrying to, right? But what was this uneasy feeling? And then, it's like Grandma had telepathy to hear my wish. Right before the ceremony started, her memory suddenly reset. What are you doing sitting here? It's time. Get up there. She dragged Maida to the altar and told the best man, Paul, to step aside. Oh, how cute. And everything after that was like a dream. I walked down the aisle. Maida gently looked at me and sincerely made the vow. His acting was flawless, while I was buzzing with nerves. Sensing this, he gently held my hands to calm me down. I do. The crowd burst into applause, and among them I spotted Grandma's joyful face. Despite the exciting moment, I didn't let myself forget another important mission, which was helping my big sister to get a boyfriend. So I threw the bouquet to Rowan and winked at Paul. But weirdly, she didn't seem happy about this. That evening, after all the guests left, I went to look for Maida. To be honest, I really wanted to know if he felt the same as me. Here he was, but why did he look so agitated? I was about to call him when out of the blue he bolted to punch Paul repeatedly.
You jerk, stay away from Rowan, got it?
What's going on? They're fighting because of Rowan? So Maida really was pretending at the ceremony? He liked Rowan, not me. Didn't you say you're just friends with Maida? What's all this? Friends don't get jealous when someone else is flirting with you. Orla, it's not what you think. Knew it. She thought she could fool me again. I turned around and was about to chase after Paul to check on him, but someone's hand grabbed mine. It was Maida.
Paul is not as kind as you think he is.
Turned out the reason why Rowan was awkward around Paul was because he always tried to touch her. Not to mention girls on social media were calling him out for taking advantage of them and cheating on them. Both Maida and Rowan knew it all, but they tried to put up with it through the wedding. However, he kept crossing the line, so today Maida decided to teach him a lesson.
So how I acted at the movies that day and just now was to protect my friend, not because I'm jealous.
I didn't know he did so much for my family. Orla, how come you're here? Isn't it still the school year? And also, your parents are so weird. When did they make up with each other? Oh, she called me by my name. She even questioned who Maida was. Her memory seems to be perfectly back. Thinking our grandma had recovered, Rowan quickly called our parents. We were over the moon thinking a miracle had happened. But then, the doctor crushed our newfound joy, saying it was a phenomenon called terminal lucidity, meaning our grandma didn't have much time left. None of us wanted to believe it. But there was nothing else we could do but make the most out of the precious little time we had left with her. I also decided to put college on hold to live with Grandma during her last days. Each morning, we would go for a walk together as I listened to her stories of the old days, and then share with her some of my fondest memories. Mom and Dad still bicker and then make up. Some things never change. But Rowan and I are getting along much better. Turns out we have more in common than we realized. And Maida, he still comes over to visit Grandma. Then one day, Maida was saying goodbye to me when Grandma suddenly shouted out loud, "Where do you think you're going? Still got loads to prepare? You think the wedding is a joke or something?" Wedding again? We froze and looked at each other till Grandma yelled at us a second time. But this round, maybe Maida and I wouldn't need to act anymore. 'Cause when I asked him if he was ready to take a vow again, he replied,
Of course, Orla. I'm always ready to say those words to you every day.
Oh God, my Roger. Look at him. Those chiseled features and dreamy eyes. No wonder every girl swooned at the sight of him. And, of course, me, his biggest fan, is no exception. You're probably wondering how I got into the backstage area of a star actor like Roger, right? It's simple. His makeup artist is Hannah, and she just so happens to be my big sister. Of course, I had to beg her for days to let me tag along. That's why I have to embrace every second of being this close to my celebrity crush.
Hey, are you taking pictures of me?
Oh no, busted. I was stammering, trying to come up with some excuse, when to my surprise, Roger lifted my phone and took a selfie.
Here you go, baby girl. Next time, just ask.
Oh my, there's no denying that Roger is boyfriend material. The girls from my class will definitely be turning green once they know this. Oh, he wants some orange juice? No problem, Roger. Just call me your own personal genie. Then I rushed around to find some OJ and hurried backstage to give it to him. But too late. His other fangirls had beat me to it. There were enough juices for him to drink all year round now. Sadly, I turned around to leave, but accidentally bumped into someone. Holy moly, it's Roger! He smiled at me and looked down at the cup of fresh orange juice in my hands.
May I borrow your OJ? This is my number if you need it.
What does this mean? Have I, an ordinary girl, caught the eye of the hottest guy on the planet? Ouch! This is clearly not a dream! For the rest of the evening, I tried composing the perfect message to him. Ugh, why was it so hard? I must have typed and deleted it at least 100 times. Oh no! I just pressed the send button by accident. Before I could remove that message, he already replied. That's it. There's no turning back now. I tried to calm myself down and went with the flow, which then led us to hours of long conversation. And soon, we were talking every day. One day, out of the blue, he said he wanted us to have a private date. Does that mean our relationship has moved on to the next level? Our first date was at this low-key diner with very few customers. I disguised myself just like what Roger told me to and waited for him. But it's been an hour in vain. Did he really stand me up? I glumly got up to leave when a sweaty, out-of-breath Roger appeared. Turns out he struggled to lose his security guards just to come and see me. Aw, it's so sweet that he went to all this effort for a normal girl like me. No need for a fancy restaurant nor extravagant gifts. This diner was already the most romantic, as I had a real gentleman right here. Don't wake me up from this dream ever. Then, before we parted, he gently put a daisy bracelet on my wrist.
Dating in secret is pretty exciting, right, babe?
Oh boy, this proved that I was no longer just a mere fangirl having a crush on her idol. Yep, we were officially dating in secret. The next day, I arrived at school in the best mood ever. I was singing on the way to class when my friend Alba startled me. Hey, have you watched the new trailer for Roger's upcoming film? It's dope. I booked the ticket for the sneak show already. Pfft, that's nothing. I already got a slot at the movie premiere. Jealous much? Huh, that's the power of a fan club's vice president. And for me, I just had the most romantic dinner date ever with Roger. Oh, of course, that's only what I wish I could say. In fact, I could just smile and then head on to my seat. Keeping this secret is driving me crazy. But I guess dating an idol comes with a price, and I don't mind paying for it my whole life. But okay, on top of all the secrecy, as y'all know, celebrities are always occupied, having no private time left. So we have to come up with inventive ways to get some alone time. Finally, Hannah had left. Let's see, hair, makeup, clothes, everything was perfect. No one seemed around. Now I needed to hurry to Roger's van. Hey Hannah, why are you still here? Wow, look at you, all dressed up, huh? What's the occasion? I just forgot my stuff. See ya. And then I rushed behind the vanity van. Phew, so close. It's a good thing I look a lot like my sister and have picked up some great makeup tips from her, so it's a piece of cake for me to pretend to be Hannah and sneak into the filming site.
Let me see if you're my adorable Harper. While praising my excellent disguise, Roger suddenly went silent. Then he turned into a completely different person. His attitude changed. He pushed me away, poured his coffee onto his shoes, and started yelling at me. What on earth are you doing? Do you know how much these cost? Clean them! What just happened? I reached my arm out and asked if I'd upset him, but a woman swung my hand away. Take your filthy hand off my son! Oh, it's Roger's mom, Mrs. Walker, the chairwoman of the film production company, known by the entire industry for being a bossy lady who always caused others difficulties. Worse still, the buzzing sound outside also started growing louder. Oh no, I better not cause any trouble here. So I kept my gaze at the ground and frantically apologized. Suddenly, a hand grabbed my arm and pulled me away. It was Danielle, Roger's manager. Don't be bothered too much if he acted a little off. He was just too stressed from work. I'm Roger's older sister, by the way. But we were super close, so I understand him better than anyone. OMG, I didn't know he had an older sister. But I know about you. Every time he sees you, his eyes fill with happiness. It's kinda obvious. You don't have to say anything. I'll keep your love story a secret. It turned out that Danielle knew everything and didn't say a word because she knew it would embarrass us. After that, she drove me home and we exchanged numbers. Roger wasn't being very responsive, so it was nice having Danielle to talk to, as she was very supportive of our relationship and kept me up to date with the schedule. A whole week has passed since that day with no reply from Roger. Nothing. Not a single phone call. I also texted his new phone number that Danielle gave me, but still zilch. Sometimes I don't know if I really have a boyfriend or not. I just want to experience what other couples have.
Stop wasting your time fantasizing about a guy far out of your league. It's so tragic, especially now he has a girlfriend. He's totally betrayed us. What did she just say? Girlfriend? I hurriedly went online and saw a photo of Roger and Jessica, a hot singer, looking cozy backstage. So he was ghosting me to be with her? My heart felt like it was going to burst into flames. I immediately texted Danielle and she replied straight back, complaining that she was also having a headache with Jess's dirty PR tricks to promote her new album. Oh, phew. So it's just a silly rumor. What a relief. Besides, for the past few days, Roger hadn't contacted me at all because he'd been busy filming a new movie in Paris. He would be back soon, and he was gonna hold a small meet and greet downtown. Danielle suggested I should show up and surprise him, and she even cleared up Roger's schedule that day so we could go on a date after the event. Wonderful, Danielle! That day, I went to the meet and greet and disguised myself so perfectly that Roger wouldn't recognize me. He would be so surprised to see me here. To be honest, I don't like my man doing all those kinds of air kisses or hugs with fans, but, well, that's his job, and I should be understanding. Besides, I used to fall for these sweet gestures as a fan too. Roger, are any of these dating rumors true?
Well, I just thought, I'm better off focusing on my work and you guys. You're my true supporters, unlike all the girls out there who only approach me for fame and money. What does he mean? So he just sees me as one of those cloud-chasing girls out there? I seemed to be out of breath among the excited howls of his fans, and I couldn't stay here much longer. I was sobbing as I ran outside, thinking about how Roger actually thought of me, of us, all this time. Suddenly, a car stopped in front of me. It was Danielle. I know it's hard being in love with a celebrity, but from a fan's perspective, that's something they want to hear from him. Of course, he can't speak up about his real relationship, but you can. You mean there's nothing wrong with your love, and we have plenty of other ways to express it discreetly, right? What Danielle said got me thinking. Sophie teases me every day for dreaming about dating my idol, but this relationship is real, and I have the right to show off my love, right? So I posted my favorite picture from one of our dates on Instagram as a way to pour my heart out. The next morning, I woke up to see an angry text from Roger.
Harper, why did you break our promise?
Why did you disclose our relationship? Things are a mess now. Underneath, it was the link to a tweet along with the title, Young actor Roger is suspected of dating someone 10 years his senior. Oh, no. How did they find my photo that quickly? And worse, they must have mistaken the person in the picture to be my sister, Hannah. Well, at least my sister is on vacation, so she hasn't found out about this yet. I must fix this before she comes back, or else she's gonna kill me. I tried to contact both Roger and Danielle, but got no response. What to do? Roger is having a press conference for his new movie. I'll go there and talk to him directly. I used Hannah's pass card to rush backstage in the hope Roger would be there, but wait, there's only Mrs. Walker and her staff. You better clean up the scandal immediately. Don't let it affect the conference. So annoying. That makeup artist must be using some tricks to take advantage of Roger. Now she will know what it's like to have her career ruined. Oh no, I can't let that happen. Please don't do this. It's not Hannah in the picture. It was me, her sister. Roger and I are in love. I never said I loved you, so stop making a fool of yourself. Sorry, Mom. I was just playing around with her because I was bored. Let me handle this. What? I thought he was different. Turns out he's just another jerk who uses fame to flirt with girls. We're over! I shouted, then sprinted out of there. For days after that, more Twitter videos were posted from Roger's alleged staff claiming he was arrogant and rude. It serves him right, I guess. However, I began to wonder about the fact that there weren't a lot of people there at those moments. Who could have been the one taking those videos? Suddenly, a Twitter notification popped up and brought me back to reality. Wait, it's that account, isn't it? The fans were still furious with Roger. Scrolling through the articles about him, I saw a bunch of comments telling everyone to cancel him. They even shared a picture of Roger going to bars and getting drunk the night before his apology press conference. Even though I was mad at him, I couldn't just switch off my feelings. So I took an Uber to the bar to find Roger, but because of my age, the security guard stopped me. As I was trying to find a way to sneak inside, I saw a familiar figure. It was Roger, sitting on the steps of the bar's back door. Hey, you alright? I'll call Danielle to come pick you up. No, please. I'm too tired of having bodyguards and a manager follow me 24/7. I just want to be alone now. Harper, I'm sorry for hurting you all this time. I just want to say it was real. I really do love you. I did what I did because I was so worried that my adoptive mom would harm you if she knew about us. Your adoptive mom? Yeah, I'm not Mrs. Walker's biological son. She recognized my acting talent, so she adopted me when I was 11. Since then, I've been nothing more than a money-making machine to her. He then told me how his pure passion for acting was starting to be worn out by all these pressures of being a celebrity, especially now that he knew someone was behind all the recent scandals. I know who's behind it all, so do show up at the press conference as planned, and I'll take care of the rest. I waited for Roger to finish his apology for all the scandals. Then I went up to address the crowd. All of the rumors are fake. I know this because I'm the girl from the video. And the person who filmed and edited it to make it look bad was his manager, Danielle. I pointed to her, and amidst the gasps, all eyes and cameras shifted to her. What? This is slander. You have no proof. Then I held up my phone and played a video recording of Sophie admitting that Danielle was giving her the videos to upload on the internet. Actually, on the presentation day, Sophie accidentally revealed her secret Twitter account, which was none other than @CancelRoger, the one of the so-called staff. So I confronted her right away and told her that she could be sued for defaming others. When I first heard the rumor about Roger having a girlfriend, I was blinded by jealousy, so I listened to Danielle. Given that she's his manager, how could I not believe that those videos were true? As his fan club vice president, I had my members' best interests at heart, so please, don't sue me. Fine, it was me. So what? I need to show Mom that Roger's not as special as she thinks she is. I knew Roger liked Harper, so I approached her and used the relationship to ruin his career. Then Mom would finally notice me. Whoa, what a twist, right? So what now? Well, Mrs. Walker and Danielle's true intentions were exposed for all to see. This cleared Roger of all the scandals, and his fans are all back together to support him again. He has a new manager now, and they have no problem with him publicly dating me. Oh, and as for Hannah, arriving back from her trip to discover she'd been dating one of her celebrity clients didn't go down too well with her. But it's not all bad, since she now has loads of bookings after this scandal. So if anything, she has me to thank for being more in demand than ever. It's been a long time since I was able to enjoy myself at a party. It sure felt good. Now just one thing left to make this night even more perfect. I'm going to make my crush mine. There he is, Jad. OMG. Did he just glance at me? I could feel my heart flutter. As I immersed myself in a world with only Jad and me, the face of Harry the Metal Mouth suddenly popped up from nowhere. It's time for bed, mommy's little princess. What on earth was he saying? And why was everyone running toward the window like that? I jostled into the crowd and I peeked down. Oh, for heaven's sake! The beyond cringy woman standing there holding the speakerphone was none other than my mom! Janice, it's 10 p.m. You know it's your turn to stay with me tonight. I won't be able to sleep without you. God, is there any way for me to just evaporate right here, right now? This is too embarrassing. But wait, how did she know I was here? I immediately looked over at Christine. It must be her again. Everyone knew she had a huge crush on Jad too, and would do anything to get him. She's definitely the snitch. It's so frustrating. Anyway, let me fill you in on the situation. This crazy woman is my mom, who gave birth to not only me, but also my older sister Patty and my big brother Will. I guess we all turned out all right, but this wasn't down to Mom. She didn't raise us. Our nanny Randy did. You see, Mom used to be an actress. She was always busy with her work and her numerous flings, which resulted in each of us three having a different father. Luckily, we had Randy to take care of us, so I never felt like I was missing out on anything. On the contrary, having to see Mom all day is a problem for me. A month ago, Mom suddenly decided to retire and move in with me and my siblings. And who knew that an out-of-date star could be such a childish, clingy nightmare? Ugh! She didn't like being alone, so she insisted Patty and I had to take turns sleeping next to her. Then she forced us to accompany her to the mall and be her luggage gophers and talk to her while she went for the zillionth beauty treatment of the week. One day, after an exhausting day out with Mom, we entered the house to Will rushing over and shouting, "Mom, why did you tamper with my laptop?" It turned out that Will had applied to the Juilliard Institute, one of the most famous art institutes in New York. But Mom went on his laptop and deleted the school's acceptance email, meaning poor Will had missed out on the response deadline. Oh, sweetheart, I didn't mean to. I was trying to send an email to report those scammers on TV, but I must have accidentally deleted your email. That's probably a good thing anyway, son. It would be better to apply for an economics major at the State University, so our family won't have to be apart. Do you know how hard it was to get in there? Ugh, I can't do this right now. I'm done. Dinner with Mom tonight was super awkward. It was just me and her, as Will was simmering in his room, and Patty, well, I don't know where she was. Afterward, I passed by her room and overheard a whimpering sound. I peeked through the gap in the door and saw Will also trying to calm Patty. James is now insisting on breaking up with me. If Mom hadn't come to my company and bragged that her daughter was the manager's girlfriend, the story wouldn't have reached my boss and neither of us would be in this mess. I know, right? Mom never cared about us before, but now she thinks she can just waltz back into our lives and do whatever she wants? I've had enough of this. We're both over 18 now. Let's just move out. Oh, no. No! Look at their determined eyes. I couldn't let this happen. What about me? Please don't go. I'm not 18 yet. Don't leave me alone with Mom. I beg you. Both of them gasped when they saw me. Then after a moment of silence, Will spoke up. Okay, we won't go. But at least we need to get things back to normal. I mean, back to just the three of us and Nanny Randy living in this house. And so, Will suggested we pull a bunch of pranks that would annoy Mom so much she'd end up leaving. But they were all busy with their studies and work, so they left it to me to carry out the pranks. Okay then, I'm ready. You can see how my mom was addicted to cola from the pile of empty cans over there. She often did midnight dashes to the convenience store when she ran out. So, my first plan was to make all the cola she's just bought disappear time after time. Frustrated much? However, she was strangely calm and acted like it's no big deal at all, and even bought a drinking helmet to make sure her Coke was always with her. Attempt failed. Move on to the second plan. Hide the Nintendo Switch. Why, you ask? Every night, Mom made us play on that thing with her, and honestly speaking, she was the worst player ever, but she wouldn't accept it, and kept making us play those boring games with her until she won. Now, no Switch, no troubles, right? Wrong! As having nothing to do, she came up with much more dumb things to ask us to do with her. From teaching her to cook, gardening, and even doing yoga with her. Having Mom around is like caring for a toddler. She needs constant care and attention. It's tiring. I can't bear it anymore. You clearly didn't carry out the tricks properly. You're making the situation even worse, don't you see? Looks like we'll have to get the job done ourselves. Oh yeah? Fine. You guys do better then. And so they carried on by using Mom's ultimate fear of spiders. She's terrified of them. Even the teeny tiny ones were enough to cause her to climb onto a chair in fright until one of us removed it. So, Patty asked me to buy fake spiders online. Then she hid them all over our house. But this time, without panicking, she even picked it up and tossed it in our direction, which freaked us out instead. So, Will decided it was his turn to take some action. He planned that one evening I would distract Randy, and in the meantime, Will would throw a feast at home, then swiftly drag all his friends out, leaving a huge mess for Mom. Despite never lifting a finger on cleaning, Mom is actually a clean person, so it would definitely drive her crazy. But nope, once again, it didn't go as planned when Will and Patty came home to find Randy there, helping Mom clean up the whole mess. Of course, I was the one who got the blame. Again. Janice, you told us you were able to get Randy away from the house for a day, didn't you? I did ask her to take me to Dad's, but midway there, she realized she forgot her phone and insisted on going back. Oh, stop with all the excuses. You're so useless and always do things by halves. The spider trick must have also failed because you bought some cheap ones that looked too obviously fake. Yeah, perhaps you've been bought off by Mom, aren't you? Spill it. Ugh, are they seriously accusing me of betrayal right now? Enough! If you're that good, then do it all yourself. I stormed off without any extra words to them. The next morning, while watching Netflix, I heard Patty and Will arguing. It turned out Patty let her boyfriend use her car and he forgot to come pick her up to work. So she's trying to borrow Will's bike so she wouldn't be late for a meeting. But Will wouldn't let her because he had an important dance workshop to attend. Don't your dumb class just always repeat the same wriggle moves? Take the bus instead. You won't die if you're a little late. It's not my fault your gold-digging boyfriend forgot to pick you up in your own freaking car. You should have broken up with a jerk like him ages ago. They continued quarreling for a while until I saw Will launch his way down from upstairs shouting. Fine, just take it. Has anyone ever been able to stop you from anything, bossy Patty? And he headed straight outside to his bike, then came back after a bit, probably to get some air to calm down. Ugh, would these two give it a rest? How are we meant to figure out a way to win against Mom when they couldn't even go a day without bickering? Right then, Mom walked in and told me she was going to bake the cake Patty had shown her how to do yesterday. Oops, but I forgot to buy eggs. I wonder if Will needs to use the bike today. I'll borrow it just for a bit. Ha! Great! If Mom took the bike, then both of my annoying siblings would have to stop squabbling about it, right? Yes, Mom, take it. Will said he was gonna take the bus today. It'll be faster to cycle to the grocery store anyway. Then Mom hopped on the bike and shakily rode off. After a while, Will and Patty went out to the yard, and of course, the bike was no longer there. After I told them that Mom had already taken the bike, Will stopped dead. Because the truth was that he had purposely broken the brake so that Patty wouldn't take it. Patty tried calling Mom, but she didn't pick up. Then came a call from Randy. She told us that Mom had crashed the bike and had been hospitalized. Oh no. We rushed there immediately, and fortunately, apart from a ligament sprain, she's fine. It could have been much worse, but that meant she had to wear a bandage for a whole month to stabilize her leg. This was all our fault, so now we had no choice but to whimper to Mom's every demand. Mom insisted I spoon-feed her all of her meals. When I mentioned that there was nothing wrong with her hands, she told me that the trauma to her leg had affected her entire body. She made Patty light loads of candles, play soothing melodies, and rearrange her bedroom furniture so she had a relaxing space to heal. And she got Will to download her old movies for her and feed her popcorn while she watched them on repeat. Of course, we were really worried about her and hoped she'd recover as soon as possible, but honestly, her ridiculous demands were going too far. Then, one day, she insisted we go to a picnic, as sitting inside all day was making her depressed. So, we did exactly just that. Then, while we were walking on a slope, I dropped my bag and bent down to pick it up. Oops, I forgot to lock the wheelchair's wheels. I gasped as I saw Mom whiz down the hill. But immediately, she hopped out of the chair and landed on her feet perfectly fine. Will and Patty stared in confusion at Mom's cascade-like performance. What about me? Nah, I'm not surprised at all, cause I was the one who set this whole thing up to expose Mom. Nanny Randy has told me everything. I know she has been helping you dodging our tricks, as well as carrying out that fake bike accident. Please, why do you have to make life so difficult for us? You never even cared about us, did you? As soon as I finished, Mom burst into tears. Then she began to pour her heart out. As it turned out, after her career finished, all the fortune, glory, friends, colleagues, and even men who once said that they'd love her for the rest of their lives, turned their backs on her. She was extremely lonely and needed us, her children, more than ever. Now, I only have 3 of you. In the past, I didn't fulfill my responsibilities as a mother, and I know I let you all down. But now, I realize my mistakes. I only did what I did because I wanted to draw you back close to me. Please, forgive me. Give her a chance, kids. Although your mother's actions were somewhat misjudged, she only did them because she genuinely cares about you. Janice, she worried your partying was causing you to neglect your studies. Well, she didn't want your dancing dreams leading to showbiz nightmares like hers. And Patty, trust your mom, she was right this time. Turns out, Mom once caught James, the manager, aka Patty's boyfriend, secretly dating the receptionist. So she intentionally made a fuss at Patty's office to deter the third wheel. However, what came after didn't go as she expected and led to such a mess. But now, mission complete. We came here to catch Patty's cheating boyfriend red-handed. Or should I say, her ex-boyfriend. And of course, we made sure he paid for a worthy price for his actions. Justice has been served. Now, to relax. Patty and Mom are getting along much better now. They even look more like an endearing couple of sisters than mother and daughter. Will's taking Mom to one of his contemporary dance shows, so she can see how important it is to him. And me? I may be the youngest in the family, but while Will's away, it's my job to make sure Mom has someone to lean on. And I'm glad to take on this role. Maybe having my mom around isn't actually bad after all.
Hi, Mia here. Not to brag, but since childhood, I've always been kinda a genius. I've already stacked up over 20 science-based awards, and by adding this one more trophy into my collection, I even got to skip a grade. Your achievements at such a young age are admirable. What's your plan next? Well, I've decided to drop out of school. Yep, that's my plan. With as impressive of a profile, I'm just one research paper away from being accepted onto the Space Up Astronomical Research Program. Why waste time on boring classes, right? But Mom and Dad didn't like the idea of me not graduating. So after a lot of compromises, I did get to move to Quebec with my grandparents for a year. But I still had to go to school there. And voila! Here I am in Canada, ready to conquer my dream. But why was there this angry crowd in front of my new home? They were screaming, cursing, vandalizing. My grandparents secretly signaled me inside the back way, then glumly told me how the crowd were parents of the children who got food poisoning after attending Riverside School summer camp. The problem was, the food was provided by my grandparents' farm, and now the school is threatening to file a lawsuit and doesn't seem to be open for negotiation. That can't be. There must be a solution for this. So gathering up my courage, I knocked on the principal's door. Do I know you? I don't think so, ma'am. I'm Mia Jones, granddaughter of Mr. Peterson, the rancher. Wait, Mia Jones from New York? Come in. The woman must have been Mrs. Robinson, the principal's wife. But does she know me? As soon as we sat down, she said, I will withdraw the charges for you. Oh, ma'am, really? I knew we could sort this out amicably. Oh, but my sweet child, I don't do charity. I know what you're capable of, so I will only drop the lawsuit if you make my daughter the top student at school. In other words, you'll exchange all test results with her. What do you think? What do I think? I think that's a crazy proposition. But if I didn't do this, then the farm would go under. So, with a reluctant nod, I agreed. Then I was immediately taken to meet her daughter. I was expecting someone snooty and spoiled, but to my surprise, this super smiley girl greeted me. Hey, I'm Eliana, but just call me Elle. I'm so sorry about my mom. She's got it into her head that I need to excel at school, since my dad is the principal. Elle hesitated for a bit, then continued. Also, there's Nora, the super smart daughter of my dad's ex. Mom doesn't want me to suck and Dad to favor this other girl over me, so... Thinking about it, my main purpose for coming here was to complete my astronomical research. I don't need any more A, so I smiled at Elle. Don't worry, I'll make sure you're the star student in no time. The next morning, I went to school with Elle, and wow, it looked so ancient and calm. Definitely distinctive from my stuffy school in New York. Elle introduced me to her friends, and they all seemed really welcoming. It's gonna be great here. Still holding the deal, I helped Elle answer the teacher's questions, exchanged assignments and homework with her, and soon, Elle had already climbed up to the top rank. On the contrary, I was at the bottom of the class. Oh wow, Elle's mom really wasn't kidding when she said her grades were bad. But that didn't matter to me anyway, 'cause the only thing I care about is this amazing astronomy tower. Talk about heaven! What are you doing here? I turned around to see Nora, the girl Elle had mentioned before, who is also the astronomy club's president. Hi, I'm Mia. I want to be part of your team. I have experience in studying astronomy and... Stop blabbering. Your grades suck, and we have a strict no idiots allowed policy. I told Nora to at least give me a chance to prove myself, so she sat me down and sniggered as she handed me an astronomy test. Easy peasy, I got all the answers right in just 10 minutes. But instead of welcoming me into the club, she accused me of cheating. Ugh! Nora didn't just dislike me, she also seemed to despise Elle too. Any chance she got to call us out on something, she would definitely take it. Sir, they're cheating! I just want to help Mia. Please, I'm so sorry. Huh? Who was helping who? Mia, you've got a lot of nerve. Your test is suspended. The whole class was giving me disapproving looks. Being this disrespected by my peers was a new experience for me. How could Elle tell lies so calmly? Great. Now that I was labeled a cheater, I would never get accepted into the astronomy club ever. Mia the cheater just had to find her way to get in there then. So, I waited until dark, then sneaked into the janitor's room to steal the key to the observation tower. Now I could freely study my favorite constellation without any interruptions. Montreal is close to the North Pole, so the night sky here is so clear that I could see all the stars. At this rate, my research could be done faster than expected. Then I would be out of here, leaving all of these childish rivalry dramas behind. One night, I was busy taking notes when someone opened the door and walked in. Who's there? Oh no! I hastily grabbed my papers and escaped through the emergency exit door. Who is the guy? Why is he here at this hour? The next morning, I pushed my way through the noisy crowd and saw the announcement on the school spinboard. The astronomy club warned outsiders not to use the observatory room and that there would be severe punishment once the recent trespasser was discovered. Shoot, the guy from last night must have snitched on me. Turned out the snitch was Brandon, the new transfer student, and also the grandson of the founder of Space Up. It's a shame the incredible Sir Edward Foster's grandson was such a smug jerk. But that didn't stop all the girls from going cuckoo crazy for this Brandon guy. The ironic thing is, he kept on coming over to me and talking about astronomy. Huh? Doesn't everyone here see me as an insignificant kid? Is this yours? Brandon said while holding out a piece of paper. Oh my. This was part of my astronomy research. Did I drop it in the tower that night? But how did Brandon know it was mine? Flustered, I quickly made an excuse and left. I couldn't stop worrying about Brandon finding out I was the one who used the observatory room. If anyone knows about it, it'd be an instant suspension. I was busy thinking when suddenly the whole class burst into applause. As it turned out, they were praising my excellent essay on constellations. Well, it's known as Elle's essay now. Then the teacher turned to read the class's worst essay. My favorite star is Justin Bieber. Every time I see him, I think if only he was my husband. Everyone started laughing. No prize for guessing whose name was on this one. Mia, I suggest you learn something from your friend Elle. I turned to look at Elle and saw her smug face. She even joined in with the others to make fun of me. Was she really that stupid to write that essay? Or did she intend to embarrass me? When I got home, Elle was already waiting on the porch to apologize to me. I helped you as promised. Shouldn't your mom keep her promise too? Get the lawsuit dismissed now, then I'll help you finish your final exam successfully. Else, I'm not doing it.
She's on it, Mia. Don't worry. I know you're leaving after a year anyway, and I also know that you're the one who snuck into the observatory. So, if you want to leave peacefully, at least help me and Brandon to get together.
You and Brandon? But what does it have to do with me? Elle then told me that Brandon was so impressed by her astronomy essay that he asked her out to discuss it further. But of course, she knew nothing about it, so she had a plan.
I'll have my AirPod on, and you gotta stay on the line with me throughout the date so you could tell me the answers to his questions. If we become official, I'll buy you that telescope you bang on about so much. You know, that thingy-majiggy.
Celestron! Celestron telescope! Oh man, she really knew my weak spot. Alright then, we have a deal. That weekend, Elle and Brandon went for a walk in Jerry Park while I stayed at home eavesdropping on their conversation through the phone. I see you have a passion for the Astros. So why didn't you join the astronomy club?
Just 'cause I'm busy with my studies, and I also have piano practice, you know.
Really? Oh, in the paper, you mentioned the black hole Sagittarius A. You seem to have done a lot of research about it. Could you tell me more? Although Elle seemed frantic having me put words in her mouth, everything went pretty smoothly. Only one thing. The more Brandon and I talked, the more I realized we had so much in common. Even if it was through Elle, I still felt a connection with him. I thought everything was going well between them, but no. One day, Elle came to me in a fit of anger and said Brandon had turned down her love confession.
I want you to go talk to him and figure out why. I need to know the reason.
What? Why don't you just ask him?
Because I'm me, Eliana Robinson. I don't ask such embarrassing questions.
So I was the one who had to make the embarrassing move?
Also, call me. I want to hear it myself.
Gosh, this bossy girl. And so I had to drag Brandon to the quiet rooftop while my phone was secretly on a call with Elle so she could follow the conversation. Okay, let's get straight to the point. Why did you reject Elle? Because I like someone else? If you already like someone else, then why hang out with her? Because only when I go out with Elle, I can talk to the person I like. It's disappointing though. Why don't you recognize me? I quickly ended the call hoping Elle didn't understand what was going on. He already knew I was behind Elle's words all this time? It turned out Brandon had met me once in the city's ranking contest for students in 6th grade, in which I surpassed him and won the first prize. He'd never met a kid smarter than him in astronomy before, so when he saw me again at school, he instantly recognized me. Only he couldn't understand why my score was so low. Brandon wanted to talk to me, but he said that all he received was a cold shoulder. I felt a bit guilty, but it's all because he told the school administration I snuck into the astronomy room. But it turned out Nora was the one who reported me. Nora was there at the time too. By the way, why do you have to do Elle's homework? I told Brandon about my contract with Mrs. Robinson and apologized for not thinking about his feelings when I agreed to be behind his and Elle's date. I see. Follow me. There's something you should know. Brandon took me to see Nora. She didn't welcome me at first, but when Brandon told her about my secret, Nora immediately changed her attitude. I should have known. Someone like Elle couldn't make such progress. She and her mom are deceiving everyone again. Then, Nora told me how she was secretly investigating the food poisoning case because, on the day of summer camp, she saw Mrs. Robinson and Elle doing something shady in the school kitchen. Why should I trust you? Elle told me that you have it in for her, so maybe you're just trying to ruin her life. Please, why do I have to do that? Believe it or not, your precious best friend is trying to embarrass you in front of the whole school. What is this? In the lecture hall, Elle was sitting in front of a screen which said, Mia's grandpa poisoned us? We rushed to the lecture hall to find her there, telling people that my grandparents were the ones that catered spoiled food. And that I had no shame copying her works, cheating many times, and even stealing Brandon from her while they were dating. So she must have figured out that Brandon liked me, huh? Even so, why didn't she talk to me directly? How dare she make things up about me and my family? Before I could do anything, Brandon changed what was on the screen to a video of me winning the Young Minds Intelligence Contest. Everybody started buzzing when they recognized who I was. Someone even spoke loudly. I watched that show. Is that really Mia? Elle's face turned pale as people started doubting her. Then Nora snatched the mic from Elle's hand and said, So, now we've made it clear that Mia isn't dumb at all. Then what about the poisoning at the camp? Did anyone find it strange how only Elle and her mother showed no sign of poison symptoms that day? That's because they were the ones who poisoned the food and blamed it on Mia's grandparents. The screen continued to show a clip of Elle's mom looking shady as she spoke to some man. She did all that just to ruin Mia's grandparents' good reputation. Then she would hire this man to buy the farm on her behalf for a ridiculously low price. What did you say? Oh my god, the principal has been standing at the door and witnessed everything. Everyone, out! When there were only 4 of us left in the room, Elle furiously shouted, How dare you! You're just the outcome of your cheater mom, remember? Don't play dumb with me. You're well aware that my mom didn't cheat on Mr. Robinson, and that your mom is the one who lied to him to ruin his and my mom's wedding. And then what? Lying again that you're his daughter to force him to stay with her? You and your mom are awful people. Mr. Robinson stood in between them and stopped the argument. Oh, he didn't look too well either. Turns out he already knew Nora's mom was wrongfully framed and didn't cheat on him at all, and that's why he always tried to make it up to Nora. But learning that Elle wasn't his daughter was one big bombshell. After knowing what his wife and daughter did, he decided to resign. He made amends with Nora's mom and they're giving it another go. After the truth came out, Elle and her mom left without a trace. I say, good riddance to bad news. My grandparents were cleared of the food poisoning allegations and now their business is booming again. With Brandon and Nora's help, I collected enough data and finished my assignment with flying colors. Now to quit high school and pursue my dreams. Just kidding. I'm just going on a short trip to Montmegantic National Park to see the Northern Lights with Brandon and Nora. I've decided to stay and finish high school here, so I can continue pursuing my passion for astronomy with my 2...
Hey, Alex. I felt someone tap on my shoulder. I turned around to see who it was and, it was Roxy, my crush, who also happened to be the most beautiful girl in the world. I figured I must have been in her way, so I quickly mumbled out, sorry, and stepped aside. But out of my surprise, she smiled at me and said, So, a little birdie told me you like me? You know, I think it's cute you haven't made a move on me yet, not like most of the guys around here. I stared at her open-mouthed. Was I dreaming? I pinched myself to check. Nope, this was real. So I nodded my head and muttered out, yeah? My friend's having a party at their frat house on Wednesday. You want to come? Before I could reply, her friend Luke appeared, and grinning, he said, Yeah, you just gotta come to this party. Roxy hit his arm while giving him a dirty look, then smiled at me. So it's at number 19, starts at 9 p.m. I'll see you then? I nodded in response, and she said, Great, see you there. Then she winked at me before she walked off. So yeah, I'm Alex, your average second-year college student. And this is the story about how my crush tried to lure me into a seriously sinister trap. I guess I'm a normal guy. I'm not as rich and popular as the kids from the frat houses are. Instead, my room is in the regular dorms, and although I'm not ugly or unpopular or anything, I'm easily overlooked. So I kept my crush on Roxy a secret because she was way out of my league. She was so beautiful, this was crazy. How did she even find out that I liked her? I couldn't believe that she'd asked me out. This was mad. At first, I felt like the luckiest guy ever. But then as I watched Roxy walk back to her friends, I noticed them giggling, except for this one girl called Sophie. Meanwhile, Luke was making everyone high-five him. He was always a little odd, and he spoke to people in strange ways. Then I caught Sophie's eye, and she gave me a look that said, Don't. Then she promptly looked away. Her jerky boyfriend Jack had his arm around her shoulder and was tugging on one of her trademark pigtails as he glugged back his drink. I had no idea what she saw in him. But what had her look been about? Back in my dorm, I discussed it with my roommate Ben, and he said it sounded like a setup. As much as I wanted it to be legit, my gut instinct was also saying that it was too good to be true. So the night of the party, I decided to take a look out my dorm window, as it's in the perfect location to get a clear view of the frat houses. I counted the houses down to number 19. Then I took out my binoculars, for which I used for field research studies to take a closer look. The house had a large rainbow pride flag hanging from the 2 windows. This made me wonder why Roxy would want to go to a gay party. I saw a lot of feminine dressed men, and the only 2 girls that I could spot were far from attractive. And it seemed like they were a couple. And then there was Luke in the front yard holding 2 drinks and looking around like he was waiting for someone. Where was Roxy? I decided to check her social media to see if she'd posted anything. And I noticed she'd left her location open. She was in a nightclub, Diego's. That was strange. So I gave the party a miss, and instead Ben and I went to a student bar. I told him about it, and he said it sounded like I dodged a bullet. The next day I was sitting with Ben and some of my other friends in the canteen when Roxy stormed over to me and yelled out, "How dare you stand me up? Who do you think you are?" Luke appeared and said, "Yeah, why not show?" I just shrugged and said, "Roxy, I know you weren't there. Your phone location's public. You were at Diego's." She hesitated, then said, Yeah, my friend borrowed my phone. But what you did was so creepy, you stalker." As if. Roxy was never without her phone, so I wasn't buying her story. This whole thing didn't make any sense, so I sort of mouthed out, "Whatever, Roxy," then carried on eating my lunch. After that, she started making my life a living hell. She told everyone that I was stalking her, so random students started coming up to me and telling me to leave her alone. Then someone covered the dorm corridors in leaflets with a picture of my face and the word stalker written across them. I knew Roxy was behind it. It was so weird. But Luke was worse. One time after class, he sneaked up on me, grabbed my arm, and said, "Hey Alex, why you bail on my party?" I told him that I saw the party from a distance and it wasn't my thing, so he replied, "Hey, you got a probs with me being gay?" I shook my head and told him I didn't, but he still wouldn't let go of my arm. I was relieved when he finally let go of me, and I hurried back to my dorm. On the way, I spotted Sophie sitting outside on the shared bathroom. Hang on, why was she in a flood of tears? I asked her if she was okay, but she told me to go away. Although I didn't want to put my nose where it shouldn't be. But I wasn't heartless, so I left her my bottle of water before I walked off. I said, "If you want to talk about it, I'm here for you." I was unlocking my dorm room when I heard someone cough behind me. I turned around to see Sophie standing there. She thanked me for the water and she said she wanted to talk. I led her into my room and she sat on my bed. And staring at her feet, she said in tears, "I caught Jack and Roxy by the locker rooms, but when I confronted them about it, they just shooed me away." I sat down next to Sophie and hugged her. This was horrible. It looks like I've been so wrong about Roxy. She wasn't my dream girl at all. Instead, she was a nightmare. Sophie continued, "It gets worse. Roxy stole my assignment and submitted it as her own. It's due tomorrow and I don't have the time to write a new one." She started crying again. I passed her a tissue and said, "We'll sort this out. There's no way she's getting away with it. That's horrible." So I told her to send an email to the college dean and to her course tutor explaining what happened. She'd attached the original assignment and all the notes she'd written about it. They both got back to us within minutes and said that they would look into this. Sophie looked so delighted, but then suddenly her smile dropped, and she fiddled with one of her pigtails as she said, "Alex, there's something I need to tell you. Please don't hate me." Then she told me how the party Roxy had invited me to had been a trap. Roxy found out I had a crush on her, and she was embarrassed that an average guy like me dared to have feelings toward her. And she was adamant she needed to teach me a lesson. So that's when Luke said he would help, as he wanted to add me to his collection, so they hatched a plan. Roxy invited me to the party, and Luke was waiting for me with a spiked drink. Apparently, this was Roxy's way of silencing me, and making sure I didn't look at her in the same way ever again. Whoa, this was so dark. I shivered at the thought of what could have been. It was terrifying. Sophie also told me that she begged Roxy not to do this, but she got her friends to hold her down. Then she told her that if she intervened, they'd make her suffer. I comforted Sophie and told her that it wasn't her fault. I knew I couldn't just stay quiet on this, as they could do this to some poor other guy who dared to have a crush on her. So with Sophie's help, we wrote a letter to the dean and to the college security about what had happened. This wasn't going to be taken lying down. Sophie was terrified that Roxy and her friends would come after her, so I invited her back to my hometown for the weekend to get away from everyone and let things cool down. When we arrived back at college, news spread that Roxy had been expelled for stealing another student's work. As for Luke, the cops raided his frat house and found loads of banned substances hidden in there. It was so serious that it went to court, and they ended up in jail. As for Jack, he tried to guilt-trip Sophie as to why she should get Roxy expelled for dumb reasons. But she stopped talking to him anyway. I often think back to the night of the party and what could have been. My life would have been ruined, and what for? All because I dared to have a crush on a beautiful girl. I say good riddance. Some good has come out of this whole mess. Sophie and I grew closer and started dating. Now we've both graduated, and that's not all. We have 2 amazing kids together. I love my beautiful family with all my heart, and I just want to protect them from all the bad in this world. So in short, I don't think that just because you're beautiful, rich, and popular, that you get away with doing whatever you please. Regardless of age, sex, looks, and so on, everyone deserves to be treated with respect and compassion.
Hey, Daisy here. I'm just your normal 19-year-old college girl living away from home for the first time, and can't deny that it could get lonely sometimes, and I felt homesick a lot. But it's okay though, as I have Lucas, my loving boyfriend. Okay, yeah, his family is well off, so he always treats me to nice places and buys me nice gifts. A few months ago, he told me to move in with him in his family's mansion, and I've agreed. But don't get me wrong, I'm not a gold digger at all. I just had no other choice. It all started one night when thieves broke into my apartment while I was asleep. It was terrifying. I knew they were ransacking my living room and stealing my TV and laptop, but I'd rather stay put to protect myself. After that, I didn't want to be home alone at all anymore. Lucas, too, was worried for me, so one evening he told me, "Daisy, I think you should come live with me, at least until you find a roommate." Wow. I wasn't expecting that, but I guess it made sense. I felt a bit awkward about it, though, as I've only been to his house, or should I say his parents' mansion, a few times. And although there was plenty of space, and his parents adored me, but I didn't want to feel like I was intruding. Sensing my apprehension, he continued, "I've explained the situation to my parents, and they're cool with it." I smiled at him and replied, "Well, okay then, but it will just be temporary." Before I moved in with Lucas and his family, I felt very anxious. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to adapt to their lifestyle, and I didn't want to upset his parents. I worried a lot, but not once did I think my trouble would be with the maid. Yep, you heard me right. On my first day at the mansion, a cheerful woman immediately ran towards me and greeted me. Mrs. Harris introduced her to me. "This is our maid, Sarah. She's been with us for years, so if you have any problem, just ask her. We're all family here. Make yourself comfortable." Then Sarah quickly grabbed my suitcase and smiled at me. "Miss, let me help you with that. I'll show you to the room." It was so strange having someone else do stuff for me like this. I could just smile back and follow her upstairs. That made me feel so welcomed here, and how nice this maid was. Maybe we could be friends. But suddenly, a thump cuts off my thoughts. It was Sarah. She'd thrown my suitcase to the floor, then said, "What on earth do you have in there? Carry it yourself. Your room is down the hallway to the left." And she walked off. What was that? Did I do something wrong? I quickly picked up my stuff in confusion. I didn't want to make an enemy of anyone here, especially not on my first day. So after I unpacked my stuff, I went down to the kitchen to help her prepare dinner. She was still so grumpy at me and told me to just get lost as I'd only be in her way. I remained persistent as I really wanted to resolve whatever her misunderstandings about me were. Eventually, she gave in and said, "Fine, you want to help? Go dice up all of those onions." "Yes, sure, but all of these?" I asked her while staring at a basket full of onions. "Are you going to help me or not?" she said sharply. I replied, Okay, don't worry, I'll do it." I tried starting up a convo with her, but she just rolled her eyes at me. Meanwhile, the onions were giving me hell. My eyes were burning and tears were streaming out. Ouch! When I finally finished, she stared at my swollen eyes and said, "If you're that upset about living here, you could just leave." "It's the onions," I told her. She smirked as she took them off me, then walked straight to the trash and threw them away, saying, "You took too long. I didn't need it anymore." What? My face dropped, but I was far too exhausted to argue with her anyway. That's when Lucas and his parents came down for dinner. Sarah quickly set up the tables, then called me over with a bright smile as she pulled out a chair for me. "Miss Campbell, please take a seat. Dinner is ready." Was she for real? I couldn't keep up with her constant change in personality. After dinner, I approached Sarah while she was doing the dishes. "Look, I'm sorry, but did I do something to upset you?" "Yes, you sure did. You waltz around like you own the place, but you're nothing more than a parasite. And I won't let you worm your way into my home." Before I had time to process her words, She grabbed an expensive-looking marble plate and smirked at me as she dropped it onto the ground. Then, with a piece of broken plate, she quickly slit her hand and yelled out loud, "Miss, I'm so sorry for vexing you, but you shouldn't have broken this. It's Mr. Harris's favorite plate." Hearing the crashing sound, everyone quickly gathered in the kitchen and stared at me for answers. I immediately explained, "No, it's not like that." But Mrs. Harris said, "It's okay. Let's help Sarah first." Then she led her off to get the first aid kit. I grabbed Lucas's arm. "Babe, I really didn't do that." He reassured me with a smile. "Daisy, don't worry about it." "You don't understand. Sarah did it on purpose and blamed me." He laughed as if he'd just heard something ridiculous, then said, "No way. I bet it was just some sort of misunderstanding. Sarah is really nice. Don't worry, you two will get close in no time. Now let me clean up this mess. You go and relax." I felt frustrated and fed up, but I reluctantly went back to my room. This girl was definitely onto me. But for what reason? Over the following weeks, her vendetta against me continued. She washed my white clothes with colored ones, then intentionally threw away my stuff and made out she mistook it for trash while cleaning my room. She put extra hot chili flakes in my food, then rushed over with a glass of water when I started to choke, and so on. Worse still, Lucas and his parents wouldn't hear a bad word said against her. They were completely oblivious to how crazy she was. I didn't understand why she hated me so much. Was she jealous of me or something? All right then. If she wanted to play with me, then game on. So I decided to spy on her to catch her red-handed and show everyone her true self. My chance to expose her finally arrived. I was passing her room and I saw her holding a watch. I recognized it. It was Mr. Harris's. She looked shifty as she placed it into her drawer and hid it underneath some of her clothes. Aha! Got her! I quickly ran to the garden to find Mrs. Harris and managed to persuade her to come with me to Sarah's room. Sarah stood by looking all innocent as Mrs. Harris checked her drawer, but the watch wasn't there, and instead we found it still intact on the vanity in the master bedroom. Huh? At that moment, Sarah suddenly bawled out, "Ma'am, I would never steal from you. You know that. I've gone out of my way to please Miss Campbell here, but she's intent on making my life a misery." Oh my God. Those crocodile tears. Did she have no shame? I tried explaining myself to Mrs. Harris, but she held up her hand and told me she didn't want to hear it. I wanted to make amends, so the next morning, I prepared Mrs. Harris's favorite smoothie and breakfast for her. I set it up nicely on the dining table, then went upstairs to get her, smirking at Sarah as she passed by. Mrs. Harris seemed happy with the gesture, but just an hour later, she said she didn't feel well. She was clutching her stomach as she glared at me and blamed me for poisoning her food. What? How frustrating! And Lucas wasn't even home for me to talk to. So I went to the kitchen to check the expiration date of everything I'd used. But I swear it was all fresh. I even went through the trash to check the used milk carton. That's when I saw some sesame seeds in there. That's odd, as I knew Mrs. Harris was allergic to them, so we never had them in the house. It had to be Sarah. She must have poisoned the breakfast with them when I was out of the room. Later that day, Mrs. Harris was feeling better, so I went to see her and told her that I was leaving, on one condition. Then I persuaded her to come into my room and hide in my closet. By this point, I think she was willing to do anything just to get me out of her house. Then I called Sarah over to help me pack up my stuff. She stepped into my room with a cocky smile and knocked over the box of my stuff, then said, "I was always going to win." I replied, "Fine, you win. But before I leave, I want to ask you something. You put sesame seeds in the breakfast I made for Mrs. Harris, didn't you?" Sarah looked around to check no one else was about before she grinned at me and said, "Yes, it was me. All me. While you were sucking up to Mrs. Harris, I ground some up and mixed them into the disgusting smoothie you made. Oh, I also pretended to steal the watch because I knew you were spying on me. Geez, you made it so easy." "But why?" I asked. "But why?" She imitated my voice. "Because this is my family. I've lived here for years. You can't just show up all pretty and carefree and expect to have everything and push me out of my own home. I never wanted to push you out. All I wanted was to be your friend." As if. This is my gold mine, not yours. Sooner or later, all of this will be mine, and God knows I deserve it. I've put up with this annoying family and a poor salary for years. Mr. Harris always dreamed of having a daughter, but no. He's stuck with that dumb son of his. It's only a matter of time until he realizes I can be the daughter he longed for. Or, now that you won't be around, it'll be easy for me to trap Lucas by having his baby. Either way, the winner is always me. Suddenly, the wardrobe doors burst open, and out emerged Mrs. Harris looking furious. She pulled Sarah's hair and dragged her out of the room. Wow, who knew the mild-mannered Mrs. Harris could be so kick-ass? I guess everyone has a hidden side. Anyway, this proved my innocence, and Sarah was kicked out right on the spot. Then Mrs. Harris apologized to me and insisted that I should keep staying with them. I thanked her for the offer, but politely declined. As I felt ready to leave and move in with my friend, I was just relieved that she'd learned the truth and that Sarah had gone once and for all. So, Lucas and I are still together and are very happy. Yes, it was annoying he didn't believe me at first, but he's such a sweet and trusting guy that he'd never expect someone could be capable of such horrible things. But hey, that's just one of the many reasons why I love him. As for his parents, well, I still visit them sometimes. I even cook for them now and then, but thankfully, there have been no more sesame seed incidents, and there's no more crazy maid to contend with. Phew!